welcome to my channel. My name is Gina and this is the Fairydust Crafts podcast. This is my little crafty corner where I talk everything knitting, crochet, sometimes a little sewing or quilting, but I'm mostly a knitter and I am a dedicated sock knitter, although I have been venturing into the world of blankets lately. And if you have been here before, or if you're following me on Instagram too, you may recognize that blanket in the background here. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Anything that I talk about today, you'll find links for literally everything just down below in the show notes, in the description. That will lead you to my Instagram where I'm most active, as well as my Ravelry page. My Ravelry Project page is the most up to date. If you have any questions about yarn or, needles, anything that I use, all of it is down below in my show notes. And if I do forget about it, like literally every tiny little note that I take is in my Ravelry projects. So I hope that you have something to drink. I've got a very hot cup of tea. It's like too hot to drink. And maybe a project to work on, and let's dive right in. It is March 14th today, Thursday, and I did not record a podcast last week, which means that I still owe you my February stats. So let's just start with that. I keep all of my stats in my daily planner. I actually have notes on that. This year, if you're new here, I am trying to do a net zero stash, which means that anything that comes in and goes out of my stash should on December 31st equal in either zero. I am working hard towards a negative stash. So ideally, I would like to use more yarn that comes into my house. Having said that, I do have a blanket project, a year-long blanket project. It's the Polka Dot Creek Blanket Club, where I do get yarn for 3 months ahead of time. And that will be part of actually March's incoming. So in January, I actually had more incoming than outgoing because I did receive 3 months worth of blanket yarn, basically, or yarn for a blanket. It's fingering weight. So anyways, in February, I had incoming 1,357 yards. And I had outgoing 2,455 yards, yay, which actually results in a February total of minus 1,098 yards. So I did pretty good in February. I had like next to no yarn coming in. It was just my, let's have a look here. It was just my February yarnable. And I also got 4 skeins of yarn coming in that I will show you today. But other than that, like that was it. I did not get a lot incoming. Not quite sure, but I believe my March so far, I think I have more incoming than outgoing. But right now, as of February 29th, I had a plus of 580 yards. So because I had quite a bit of yarn coming in January, I'm still like on a positive, like more yarn coming in than going out. But 580 yards is like a skein and a bit of sock yarn. That's not too bad. Like I can actually like absolutely live with that. And I am also working on a crochet project, which like just eats up yarn. I just yesterday used up 170 yards. So it's okay. So that's my stats. It looks okay. I think I'm fine with it. So far it's only like, now it's March, mid-March, and I think it's looking pretty good. Just to clarify, most people do like grams in and out. I mostly work with fingering weight yarn, but every once in a while I do DK. Actually, for like lots of garments I do DK. Every once in a while I will use something a little bulkier, and for me I find it makes more sense if I do yards, because a yard of yarn is a yard of yarn, no matter how bulky it is or how fine it is. So I just transfer everything into yards. Now, as I said, you already saw this here. This is my finished object. This is the Anthology Throw by Helen Stewart. And there we go. This is it, folded in half. So it is round. It's a wonderful blanket. It's like the perfect size, I find, to just kind of like have it like in your lap, kind of. It also makes for a fantastic shawl. I followed the pattern exactly. I made a mistake somewhere, and I actually did put that in my Ravelry project notes, that I made a boo-boo somewhere. I think I did too many repeats of one, and then I kind of like had to even that out. Can't even remember where it is, and you can really like, you can't really tell. This was a advent calendar by Ginger Snap, and I used up the whole thing pretty much. The one thing that I did differently from the instructions is I used up all 24 mini skeins of yarn. According to the instructions, I was supposed to bind off with this dark red here, and I didn't do that. I decided to use all of my 24 minis for the actual throw, and then I used this black, it's just a Cascade Heritage sock in black. I used that to bind off. So I just knit around once and then I bound off. And I used the same bind off and everything that's in the instructions. First I thought I was going to do picots, and then I was like, oh no, that's going to take forever. And this was quite a bit of, even just a bind off, that one round plus bind off was quite a bit of yarn. So I was like, I'm not gonna do that. It took me a good 4 hours to bind this off, I think. Yeah, it took me like a full evening to bind it off. So that was a little labor of love, but I would like to make another one of these, and I would love to make it not as scrappy as this one, but something that's a little more planned. Maybe I'll just use like 5 different 100-gram skeins of yarn and do it like that, do it like some sort of fade or something. But I would like to make another one sometime in the future. I have been working on an old one. I have been very, very actively working on my November cardigan, and I have 2 sleeves, and I did bind them off. I still have to take out my markers and everything, but I did the bind off and everything. So my sleeves are both done. Right now I am working on, where is it? So long. Right now I'm working on the last little border bit. So I still have like a little more to go. It is a little wider than the button band. The button band doesn't have buttons on it, so but yeah, I'm just about to finish this. I think I'm gonna finish this tonight, and not bind off tonight, but bind off like on the weekend, because it is a sewn bind off. It's an Italian bind off, which means I'll have to like really, really focus on it, and I would like to just sit down for a few hours and actively do that bind off so I don't mess it up. Because the Italian bind off is it's not super complicated, but I always have to follow instructions just to make sure that I don't make any mistakes, and going back is a little nah. and it is like 300 and something stitches at this point, so I'll have to use like 3 times the length of my actual project, which is going to be like a really long tail. Not sure if I should just join a new tail or like a new yarn once I run out, or if I really just should work with such a long tail. It's a really long tail, too long for me. And then I won't be done yet. I still have to work 2 pockets. It has 2 pockets in the front, so I'll have to work those still. But other than that, I will actually like weave in all my ends and everything before I start the pockets, and then just get going on the pockets. I don't think those will take very long. And I have been toying with the idea of lining the inside of the pockets with fabric. I'm still working on my husband's socks. I feel like these have been taking so long. They are, oh, where was I? Last time I talked to you, I don't think I made much progress. I have finished my gusset. So my gusset decreases are all done, and I'm actually working on the foot right now. This is a pattern by me. Oh, by the way, the November cardigan, or the November jacket, is by Petite Knit. And I'm using Berroco Vintage in color Douglas Fir, and I am using a larger needle. I'm using a 4mm needle for the whole cardigan. You do not change needle sizes for that. I'm like all over the place here today. I don't even know why. I'm like, felt so prepared before I started. These socks are made from, where's my tag? You've seen this before. I think I've shown these like at least twice so far. So I'm using Froehlich Wolle Blauband, and I reinforced the heel and heel turn with reinforcement yarn. And I will also use this for the toe to have like a properly, like a sturdy toe. And what I've been doing, so I finished a gusset in the last couple weeks, and I'm not now on my foot. I think like just a row or so, or a round or so on the foot. And I have though started my second sock. So I am currently working on my gusset decreases. I think I still have like 3 or 4 of those left. But I am working these guys in tandem. I find every once in a while I do really enjoy that, because to me it's a little bit of like a trick of the mind. I always find it doesn't actually take me that long to finish a pair of socks if I work either 2 at a time or 2 in tandem. I prefer 2 in tandem over 2 at a time, because 2 at a time involves magic looping, and I'm just, I don't know. I feel it's more mindless to me when I work on DPNs, or as I'm doing here on 9-inch circulars. I'm using a 2.5mm needle, 2.5 Jiaogu 9-inch circular, and that is how I've been knitting my socks for I don't know how many months now. It's just my go-to is a 9-inch circular, and I absolutely love it. Who knows when I'll be switching back to like a DPN, but right now this is how I roll. I have 2 more cast-ons-ish to go. So one of them is a new cast-on, but it's not. And this is, it's a UFO. So I started with the cuff. This is a 1x1 twisted rib cuff. You can kind of see it. Yes. I started the cuff when I edited my last podcast, and because it's a twisted rib, I'm not a fan of like twisted ribbing. It's just, I don't know what I was thinking. And it's like a really short sock too, so these are not going to stay up really well, but who knows what I was thinking. So I did that. Whoops. And then yesterday I did the rest. I did heel and then started my gusset decreases. The heel flap is a Eye of the Partridge. And the reason why I'm doing all of this is because I already have a full sock done. Now, I started this sock in, let me consult my notes, October 2022. It's had a birthday, like actually. So I thought I need to finish this because I'm like not going, like I'm not getting anywhere with this. And then yesterday, so I kind of like had to go in, I couldn't find any notes or anything on this. So all I did was, you know, count and see how many stitches, how many rounds this all is. And I can already tell that my gauge has changed. So I'm really hoping that these two socks are gonna fit the same. If not, then I will have to undo this and knit it again, and I don't really want to do that. I think if it comes down to that, I'll just rip it all out. I can't just knit another shorty because I only have, this was a 50-gram ball of yarn, and this is Ginger Snap. They're 2-ply sock yarn. This is was part of a Halloween countdown, like Advent style calendar. It was, I think it was called 13 Days to Halloween or something like that. And this, I do remember, is Colourway Candy Corn. That's all I think this is the only colorway that I do actually remember. All of the other ones, I have no idea what their names were. But I'm planning on, I think I've only used like 2 of these 50-gram minis or 50-gram balls so far, and all the other ones are still in a box. So I think what I would like to do is pull those out and just turn them into shorty socks. Just like I'm doing with my Yarnable, I just turn all of my Yarnable yarn into regular standard vanilla socks for myself. I want to just get on with this and turn all of these guys into a pair of mini socks or like sneaker socks for myself. So this was kind of like a new cast on, but it's one of my long-term UFOs that needs to get out of the way. This is like so fast and easy. Like I can't, like I don't even know, like it doesn't make sense in my head why it took me so long to make this. And then I have a new cast on. This is my question that I have for you guys this week. So I started, and it's not a lot, as you can see, a new Coziest Memories blanket. The Coziest Memories is by, or Coziest Memory is by Kemper Wray. And I started this with sock yarn leftovers that I had from my husband's socks. So these were the only ones that I could actually find old scraps of, and that are a fingering weight. So I'm going to use all fingering weight. I've made him some like thicker socks, so like DK weight socks, and then some of the yarns I have literally used all of them up because they were older, and I just used all of the yarn, so I didn't have scraps. But these are the only 2, and then the blue ones that I'm working on right now will then go in here as well. Now here's my question. I am working on a Coziest Memory blanket for myself where I put all of the yarns, or like just a little square in from all of the socks that I've knit so far. Now I'm obviously putting a square of those blue ones in my husband's blanket because they're my husband's socks. But now my question is, do I put a square in my own blanket as well? What would you do? Like, do I do 2 squares, so like one in my own blanket and one in his blanket when I make socks for him? Or do I just put a square in his blanket? I don't know. I feel like I need to put a a square into my blanket because it's all of the socks I've been working on. But then I'm doing 2. So I don't know what to do. Let me know down in the comments. And then yes, I'm actually working on 3mm needles. These are my signature needle art straights. And as always, the scraps just live in the Ziploc bag. I think I have enough of this kind of like camo kind of yarn to make a pair of socks, a pair of shorties for myself. So I may actually do that. But yeah, what to do? Do I do 2 squares or do I just do the 1 square in his blanket? And that was everything that I have worked on in the past couple weeks. So I am moving from having a million whips to somewhat monogamous. So I am focusing on my fin tree right now, and I'm also focusing on my November jacket. And then I just have my socks for like a random little, if I need to do something with my hands for 5 minutes. But I'm heading into the right direction, I think. Now, last week, I couldn't show you, or last podcast, so a couple weeks ago, I couldn't show you my new acquisitions because if you don't know, like go back and watch it, it's kind of hilarious. My community mailbox was frozen shut. So I couldn't actually show you what was in there because it was stuck in my mailbox. Now I got all of that, and because 2 weeks have passed, I feel like I have so much stuff to show you. So let's start with what was in, like stuck, frozen in the mailbox last episode. It was an order that I got from the Knitting Loft in Toronto, and I ordered 2 books. One of them is the Coco Knits Sweater Workshop. Is literally a sweater workshop. It shows you how to make a perfectly tailored top-down seamless sweater. This is by Julie Weissenberger, and it has like everything in it, like how to measure your body, how to like do everything step by step, and how to do all the math, and how to check everything. So I thought this would be like a great little addition to my bookshelf up here. And then the other one is Knitivation, Andrea Rangel's Stitch Dictionary, and this is the newer one. I still have to get like the first edition. So there's 2 books that kind of like go hand in hand, but they're both like stitch dictionaries, and it's not just different stitches, it also comes with like different methods to use, how to do color work. It has a couple of patterns in it, so for like mittens, I believe, and like a sweater. And it also has like all the color work knitting tips and tricks, including, which I find very important, is what kind of yarns to use. So she will tell you what yarns are good, suitable for color work, what's the difference. And then this is really cool. So it kind of like shows you different swatches in different yarns and like what do they look like. So color work in mohair obviously looks completely different, almost like a little more blurred than like color work in like a very crisp, tightly twisted wool. So I thought this would be amazing, and maybe there's like a couple patterns that I just love and that I thought would be hilarious in just like the cuff of a sock or something like that. So great for kind of like making up your own things, and I'm kind of like on a figuring out my own patterns kind of kick lately. So those 2 books are a fantastic addition to my bookshelf. So what else was in that little box? There were, I got the coconut cable needles. This is a set of 2. I already put one of them into my needle case. I have all my cable needles live with my interchangeables because that makes the most sense to me. But it's not coming out. There. These are really cool. They're like tiny. And they are, I think, a 2.5 millimeter. Yes, 2.5 millimeter. They're only like 3¼ inches long, so tiny. And they've got like the little dip. So that was the cable needle. I got 4 little hanks of yarn. They are just Jawohl lengths, Jawohl superwash. And I got this like green gray color, blue gray color. Camera doesn't really pick it up that well. And then this rag, it's kind of like a twist in, I think it's called Brown Bear. But I got 2 of each, so I have 100 grams. So these are perfect for socks. And all of the Jawohl come with reinforcement yarn on the inside. So they just kind of like chuck it on the inside. This here is black to go with it. Usually it's the same as the yarn color, but because this is a twist or like a rag, it's a different color. So it's kind of like a charcoal. It's not like black, it's kind of like charcoaly. So push it back in so I won't lose it. This is like some of my most favorite yarn to make socks. So I'm gonna make more socks for my husband, as I said. And this is really cool. Like, this is why I went online and purchased from the Knitting Loft. Like, that's the main reason. I got myself a knit kit. This is what it looks like. And it has 10 different tools in it. So part of it is a row counter. And it also has like, measuring tape, and now you can already see the back. It's got like a needle gauge right here. You can open this up, and don't want to have everything fall. There's a pair of scissors. These are the folding scissors, love these. And then needle stoppers and different kinds of stitch markers. And then there's also a straight needle in here, a cable needle, and a crochet hook for like fixing things. It's a little gadgety thing. Did I really need it? Absolutely not. But is it cute? Totally. And I think this is just gonna live in my like garment bag. So I'm gonna put this with my November cardigan because it's fairly large. So my like garment project bag for whenever I have like a sweater or anything to work on, because it has everything you need. Pretty cool, unnecessary thing to have. Love it. So that was it from the Knitting Loft. I also ordered from Ginger's Nap because they had a bag that I really liked. I can't even remember. I think it's called Forest Witch. Pretty sure it's called Forest Witch. So this is a little, it's just a regular project bag. It's got a zipper. It's a great size, and it's got like no bells and whistles, which I like. I am one of those weird people who I do not want pockets in my project bag, but my socks are living in here, and it's like way too big for just one single pair of socks, but love this. I feel like this just had my name on it, like totally down my alley. So I got that, and then I also got a sweatshirt that is currently in the laundry, so I can't show you, but I will wear it as soon as I have washed it. And I also got yarn. So this is the Winter Breeze DK sock set, and I love this. It's on their squishy DK base, and it has like 2 main colors and then 2 cuff, heel, toes, whatever you use them for. So like the little mini. So I got 4, so 2 and 2 plus the main color. So I can just don't even have to think about separating my skeins. I can just wind these and I can do 2 socks at a time or do them in tandem. I'll probably do them in tandem. This is their Squishy DK base, is a 75 superwash merino and 25 nylon, and it's a total of 180 grams, 424 yards. So this is going to be a pair of DK socks probably for myself. I'll just make them in my own size and see how I like them. If I don't like them, I'll just gift them to somebody. But I thought these were pretty cool. I'm kind of like on a DK weight sock trip. This was a gift with purchase. Thank you so much, Kim and Colin. Stitch stoppers. So you put them, I've shown these before, they're like little balls, little silicone balls with holes in them. So you just put them on your needles, and I'm actually gonna put those on here. I always find with whenever I work on like a small circumference, like I only have 60 stitches on this, so it's not too bad, but like the ones that I do for my husband, oh, that was Molly. The ones that I do for my husband have 68 stitches on them, and when just before I do my gusset decreases, there's so many stitches on here that like they like to almost fall off a little bit. So far, I don't think I've lost many stitches, but it's easy to lose stitches this way. And sorry for the wrinkling, but I'm gonna put these stitch stoppers here on my needle so you can see how they work. So you just like pop them on like so, just like that. So I like to make sure that they actually poke out a little bit. Depending on the size, you can't do this, but this is a 2.75 millimeter needle. Didn't say that. It's a 2.75 millimeter 9-inch Chowgo. But this way, I'm not gonna lose any stitches. There you go. So that's what I got from Ginger Snap. And then I bought another book that I had pre-ordered like probably in October. It's been a long time. But this is, you'll know Julianne from Twin Stitches. Knit a Box of Socks. This is a brand new book that was released 2 days ago on March 12th. And it is absolutely amazing. So I pre-ordered, I got a signed copy and it actually came with a little add-on. There are 3 10-gram minis by Camp Fiber Yarns, and they are specifically dyed for a box of socks. 24 knitting patterns, so you can fill yourself your own box of socks. It's an absolutely beautiful book, and if you're into socks, I absolutely recommend this. It talks about like different stitches that you need to know, different methods. It talks about how to measure your foot is a very big one, and all of that, what kind of tools and materials you need, and then literally oh so many patterns, and they're all very colorful. Love that. And they are different yarn weights too, which is, I definitely recommend it. If you're a beginner, it has like everything for you. So you can start with like a DK weight sock, which is a great way for a beginner to start. So that was all of my mail. I feel like it all just piled up. I haven't received my Yarnable yet. Maybe it's in the mail today. I haven't checked my mail today. I will do that tomorrow on my way home. But haven't received a Yarnable yet, and it's like second week in March, so I'll have to like knit real fast with those. Now, last episode I talked about having frocked, aka ripped out, all of my UFOs that weren't socks, everything that I looked at and that didn't really bring me joy, I ripped out. And I talked about this in person to a couple people. I was like, this is what I did last weekend. I just ripped out, I frocked all of my projects. And I did mention that I had one project, so they're not even whips, they're at that point UFOs, unfinished objects that have been sitting forever. Like you saw with this pair of socks, the yellow socks. I made my first sock in October 2022. Like, I find a work in progress / unfinished object should not have a birthday. And I had a bunch of projects that I was just like, I don't even know what I was doing. Where was I? Like, it's too much brain work for me to figure everything out again. So many, I didn't even have notes or anything, so it's like, okay, figuring this out takes me like a couple hours versus like restarting and getting to the same point will probably take me roughly the same time. So I just frocked it and I put my yarn away. So I talked about one project that I had pretty much done. I had about this much left of knitting, and it was a t-shirt where I had, you start like from the bottom, is bottom up, but then you go across the shoulders. So you like split for your shoulders, you do all your shoulders, and then in the front you join your yarns again, or you join your two sides again, and then finish it. And I was about this much away from finishing the front. So I was mostly done, but I decided to frog it. And everybody was like, why? Why would you not just sit down for a couple hours, finish it, wash it, seam it, have it done? So I have several reasons. The reason number one is I didn't really enjoy it anymore. So I looked at it and I was like, I don't know. I just do not enjoy this project. I do not enjoy this garment. I've already made the garment in a different yarn and I do wear it. And it's fine, but I feel like it's just not really it. So even if I finish it, would I actually wear the garment? Like, I actually sat down and I asked myself, like, yes, I can finish it, but would I wear the garment? And I just had to say, probably not. And then what's the point? Like, if I finish a garment but won't wear it, why even bothering? And that is a big one for me with garments in general. Do I even wear them? And that's why I prefer to just make socks, because I do wear knit socks. Reason number two was the yarn choice. I feel like it was not the right yarn choice. The yarn and the pattern just did not suit each other. So, you know, when you have like, it happens sometimes, you like a yarn won't suit a certain pattern or a certain garment. So that was reason number two. I feel like those two, like, it wasn't the right yarn choice. And then reason number three, and I find that's a big one, is I think I would have played a game of yarn chicken with this project. I only had so much yarn left, and I feel like I may potentially not have made it. And then what? I bought the yarn like a while ago, like a long time ago, and if I bought another ball of that, the dye lots could potentially be so much different that you could tell. So I was like, no. Well, this is a project where I still have to seam, which is fine. I can seam with a different color and you won't be able to tell. But it's just, all in all, it was a garment that I probably would not enjoy. I probably would not wear it. Why bother? Now I have enough yarn and I can do proper math to make sure that I have enough yardage to make whichever project I want. I think I would like to actually use that yarn for a colorwork project, because that's, I believe, what that yarn is just made for. It's a proper kind of like hairy, sticky, proper pure wool. So that was answering a question that definitely came up a couple times where that was like, but why? And sometimes we just have to do this. I think some of us don't want to do that, but I think even frocking a project that you have finished and that's been sitting in your wardrobe for maybe years is not a bad idea. It's not a bad thing. It's yarn. You can knit it again. And I think that's the beauty about yarn. It's okay to frock. It's okay to frock because now I can actually knit it again, and it will be eventually, one day, it will be an object that I enjoy and that I cherish. So this is it with all my projects and so many acquisitions that I didn't even know existed or were here, but I love books, so books are awesome. So I hope to see you guys again next episode, and in the meantime, happy crafting. Bye.